Well, it's never a dull day in Trumpland. Now, after Venezuela and Iran, Greenland is all the rage now. And I'm not talking about the Gerard Butler movie. I'm talking about the country with almost 60,000 people next to the North Pole. Now, US President Donald Trump wants to either buy or annex Greenland. He says it's of strategic importance to US national security. He is also levied 10% additional tariffs on all his European allies that send their militaries in solidarity with Denmark to Greenland. Now, in retaliation, the EU has put on hold the US EU trade deal, which was about to be signed. Now, that spooked the futures markets, which in turn spooked the crypto markets. Now, what's exactly in Greenland? And what will the repercussion be of all of this on the markets? We'll be talking about this and a lot more. I have Nirkundi and Crypto Daddy with me. This is the Baaps of Crypto podcast. Welcome back and let's go. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. What's up? Are you
Another
seeing the
exciting
markets?
Yes,
week.
what's happening?
So, are you seeing the markets? कहाँ जा रही है BTC? कहाँ जा रही है ETH? I think
Didn't
BTC.
we? I think
Yeah.
as far as I remember, I said that these are the levels you have to look at. Didn't we do that?
Yeah.
मैंने तो एक चेतावनी दी थी सबको कि भैया
वो
BTC
सुनता
तो
नहीं है
90 टच कर सकता है.
Yeah.
नहीं बट
I
बड़ा
mean, like,
92 होके आया 93 पे.
yeah. So the thing is,
It's
like, when we were talking about that bull market support band, which will also turn into the bull market resistance band, it touched that. It came back. Now it's correcting. So I mean, obviously, in the longer term, like हम जैसे advise करते हैं कि आप अगर रोज इस market में नहीं देखते, सुबह शाम नहीं देखते थे, so just keep accumulating little bit, and in
yeah,
the
yeah,
longer run, this would be much better. It would be at much better rates, and that ways you will be making some profits. But if you're trading leverage, then you're like really screwed because the market is really volatile right now.
yeah,
रहने ही
yeah.
वाली है अभी तो.
कितनी रहने वाली है?
Yes.
Nirkundi,
भाई
what are you?
could be
Then
weeks.
Nakundi number रहने वाली है, that came naturally. You know what that means?
Yes. Oh my God. Dude, 100x long now. Now.
आज ही ट्रम्प साइन कर देगा डील लाइक
Yeah.
ग्रीनलैंड को छोड़ के अब कनाडा की बारी अब.
Yes. ठीक है. Chalo, let's start with the most pressing topic of the day, which was a non-topic like a few weeks back, but now it's come into focus after Venezuela and Iran. Now it's back to Greenland, right? ये थ्योरी जो है कि अमेरिकन प्रेसिडेंट यूएस डोनाल्ड ट्रंप ने फ्लोट की थी थोड़े दिन पहले कि we can buy Greenland or we'll annex it, and now that is like come to fruition sort of कि obviously वो ग्रीनलैंड के लोगों से बात कर रहे हैं, कुछ लोग सपोर्ट दिखा रहे हैं, पर डेनमार्क ने बोल दिया कि भाई इट्स अ किंगडम ऑफ डेनमार्क एंड दे सेंट देयर मिलिट्री टू ग्रीनलैंड, एंड उसके साथ सॉलिडारिटी में डेनमार्क के साथ फिनलैंड, फ्रांस, जर्मनी, नेदरलैंड्स, नॉर्वे, स्वीडन एंड यूके, इन सब ने भेजी. सो इन सब पे डोनाल्ड ट्रंप ने 10% टैरिफ लगा दिया कि तुमने क्यों भेजा, मैं तो लेने वाला था. इसके
आराम हराम है.
यस. तो अब यहाँ से आई थिंक नरकुंडी तेज से स्टार्ट करते हैं कि ग्रीनलैंड पे नरकुंडी आई है, तो तू बता दे कि भाई ग्रीनलैंड में ऐसा है क्या कि लोग इतने पागल हो रहे हैं उनके सब लेना चाहते हैं. मैं अगर चाहिए तो मैं थोड़ा तेरे को कॉन्टेक्स्ट दे सकता हूँ अपनी स्क्रीन शेयर करके,
बता दे.
या तू पहले जाएगा? व्हाट डू यू वांट
बोल
टू
ले
डू?
बोल ले.
हाँ,
क्या
इससे
दिखाने
पहले
वाला है?
इससे पहले
कहाँ पे मिसाइल
ग्रीनलैंड
गिरने वाला है?
नहीं ऐसा नहीं ब्रो. तू अच्छा चल ठीक है, तू कर ले यार, यू गो फॉर इट. पहले पहले तू ग्रीनलैंड को उड़ा दे, फिर मैं बाद में आराम से उनको बचाने की कोशिश करूंगा.
अच्छा. ओके सो पहली चीज तो आई मीन आई डोंट नो, काफी लोग ने लाइक ग्रीनलैंड का जब देखते हैं, इट्स नॉट द फर्स्ट कंट्री दैट कम्स इनटू माइंड, राइट? सो इसका इसका रिसर्च करा था ना, हिस्टोरिकल कॉन्टेक्स्ट भी है लोग का, बिकॉज कोल्ड वॉर टाइम से दिस वाज अ स्ट्रेटेजिक प्लेस जहाँ से यूएस लिस्टिंग कर रहा था ऑन रशियन नेवल फ्लीट. जो सबमरीन्स आ रही थी. सो रुक जा, ये लोड किया. सो यहाँ पे व्हेन यू सी Greenland, it's mainly ice. We'll get to the minerals part and what's up, but Greenland, Iceland, and UK. ये जो corridor है, this is the North Atlantic corridor. So if any Russian submarine needs to reach North America or US specifically, it has to go through here. So by having a military presence, a listening outpost, a launch pad, whatever you want to call it reinforces US strength if the situation came to be. Now, एक और रीज़न, ग्रीनलैंड के नीचे से ट्रांस अटलांटिक फाइबर ऑप्टिक केबल्स भी जाते हैं. So any dependency on internet, on financials, on trade that's happening, Greenland पे है. So if any cutoff happens, it could severely impact internet. Now, main cheese, third one is the rare earth minerals. Now, Greenland ka share of minerals is not that much. So if you start looking at rare earth minerals, it's a group of 17 rare earth minerals, which is used for fighter jet guiding systems. It's used for semiconductors. It's used for EVs, electric vehicles. So यहाँ पे dependency आ जाती है China पे, because not only do they have the highest share of rare earth minerals, but processing भी Chinese facilities के through हो रही है. So it has complete dominance for them, which obviously China can use in trade. Now, if you start looking through the countries, look at how many Western countries are in this top 10 mein. It's only Canada, Australia, and if you want to include Greenland in them. Rest all are Asian or BRICS specific countries. So so US needs those minerals if it has to have leverage of some sorts besides the military part, besides the internet control part, if it has to deal with China for further negotiations. So
Yes.
that is where
Just
it, hmm,
Yeah, yeah, no. So I was just putting this in context. Ki eh, China has the most amount of rare earth minerals, but they also have the biggest capacity to sort of process
Process
these
them.
minerals. It's a
mhm,
very
Yeah, yeah,
cumbersome and a very high carbon emission process जो बाकी countries नहीं चाहती करना. तो चाइना ने इसीलिए उस पे इतना डोमिनेशन बना के रखा है कि वो कर रहे हैं carbon emissions. Like if just to scale कि steel, if you think is a very high carbon emitting process, rare earth minerals की जो processing है, it is 10 times more than steel. So
yes,
yeah.
and
I mean, I think this was a
90s they
discussion
started
they
this.
had. They had some couple of years ago when we were talking about electric cars or in their EV batteries and stuff, right? And this was a conversation that they were having at that time. Okay, yes, you're talking about environmental conversion with EV cars, but eventually building those cars and getting those batteries
बहुत
out,
लग रही
उनके उसमें carbon emission इतना होता है कि 20 years लगता है उस गाड़ी को just to cover the carbon emissions that they've done to produce that one specific car.
yeah. And it's
Mhm.
in everything, right? These तेरे airports के जो छोटे छोटे speakers बनाने में भी you need those rare earth magnets. It's those neobidium something,
Yeah,
iron
yeah.
boron, रेयर अर्थ मैग्नेट जो है, थोड़ा सा भी आप ये रेयर अर्थ मिनरल्स किसी एलॉय में ऐड कर दो तो वो ज्यादा पावरफुल हो जाता है, एंड इट्स लाइक वे मोर पावरफुल देन देयर योर नॉर्मल मैग्नेट्स.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so China का I think ये बोलते हैं कि 90s में itself they started all these facilities, and obviously they didn't care about emissions and all, where Western countries were very conscious about how much they're emitting and being environmentally conscious. So by having this head start, having a near monopoly on the processing, it's now becoming a leverage for them. So if US wants to, let's say, deal with China, if US wants to deal with Russia, I think US then is looking at Greenland now. If it'll be a forced takeover, I don't think so. But even if it means that Denmark and US sign like a treaty of sorts, okay, fine, we'll let you use Greenland as an outpost. We'll let you use Greenland for rare earth minerals. But effectively, even just by partnering with Greenland, US की capacity double हो जाएगी from 1.3 to 2.6%. So it is important not just from military, not just from rare earth minerals, but also from multiple other perspectives. And that's where I think again, it's like Trump negotiation style, or rather dictator style, if you want to call it, कि हम लोग ले लेंगे, but end में I think it might reach a trade deal, and then like things cool down. But until that happens, um, that means that bond markets will start getting nervous. So let's come back to the bond market later, and then after Crypto Daddy talks, then we'll go into discussion over there.
ठीक है. सो एक और चीज इसमें ये है कि देर इज हिस्टोरिकल कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑन sort of buying these countries outright. जैसे अलास्का was bought in 1867 from Russia.
Mm-hmm.
सो
Yeah,
ऐसा
yeah.
नहीं है कि पहले कभी खरीदा नहीं है. सो दे कैन ऑलवेज बाय ग्रीनलैंड एंड दैट इज लाइक अ वैलिड प्रपोजल. ये आज पहली बार नहीं, दिस लाइक 2-3 बार पहले ऐसे हो चुका है कि यूएस प्रेसिडेंट्स ने बोला है कि वी कैन बाय ग्रीनलैंड. दे वंस ऑफर्ड डेनमार्क in the early 1900s about $100 million in gold to buy Greenland. सो दैट बाद में जब डेनमार्क की गवर्नमेंट ने कुछ डिक्लासिफाई किए अपने डॉक्यूमेंट्स, तो उसमें अर्ली 90s में ये सामने आया कि 1900s में कभी बोला था कि हम खरीद लेंगे फॉर दिस मच अमाउंट. तो एक और मैं
Mhm.
थोड़ा कॉन्टेक्स्ट इस पे देना चाहता हूँ. लेट्स कैन यू गाइस सी दिस? सो
Yep.
राइट, सो दिस इज व्हाट यू कॉल द आर्कटिक स्टेट्स, राइट. तो इसमें 7 कंट्रीज हैं. इट हैज यूएसए, कनाडा, डेनमार्क, नॉर्वे, स्वीडन, फिनलैंड एंड रशिया. ना इफ यू सी, ये जो पूरा है ये आर्कटिक ओशन है. एंड ये जो आर्कटिक ओशन रहा है ये पूरा फ्रोजन रहता है. व्हाट यू कॉल द पोलर आइस कैप्स जो है ना, वो यहाँ पे तेरे बीच में जो है
The
नॉर्थ
North
पोल.
Pole, yeah.
यस.
Yeah.
एंड पर तू अगर देखेगा तो ये आर्कटिक ओशन के से लगा हुआ सबसे ज्यादा जो कोस्ट है, इट इज रशियाज.
Mhm.
लाइक
Yeah.
रेस्ट ऑल द कंट्रीज ऑब्वियसली थोड़ा सा यूएस, थोड़ा कनाडा, ग्रीनलैंड, नॉर्वे, फिनलैंड ये सब आता है, पर मेजोरिटी इज रशिया. And now with the polar ice caps melting, right, there is like water coming here. And
Mm-hmm.
because of
Water
that,
levels are rising.
yeah, because of that, new shipping routes have opened. So what Russia has done, so Russia has created this sort of these vessels, right, which are called icebreakers. And अभी यूएस वाले भी बात कर रहे हैं कि हम बनाएंगे, पर रशिया की जो फ्लीट है, they have about 8 of these nuclear powered ice breakers, which are like almost 2 football fields जितनी in size, in like length. इतनी बड़ी है वो. एंड यहाँ पे जो ये देख रहे हैं ना, तो if you see this is their northern shipping route. So normally all the shipping routes are heavily patrolled by Western countries and heavily influenced by Western countries. This shipping route, the Northern Sea route, this comes under Russian territory. So this opens up like a new shipping route, and those icebreaker vessels, right? They go through here जब थोड़ा ice कम रहता है या पानी हो जाता है. So they take this route all the way here and all along this coast, right? They've set up uh, gas production, mining, bases, air bases, army bases, whatever. ये पूरे कोस्ट पे उन्होंने सेटअप किया हुआ है. एंड ये पूरे रूट से लेके इस पे जो है रशिया की मोनोपोली है. ठीक है, बिकॉज बीच में तो ऑल यू हैव इज आइस, एंड दिस
Mm-hmm.
होल रूट इज ओपन फॉर रशिया. नाउ what happens with China, right? Because Donald Trump keeps saying China. So what China is trying to do is China is trying to create a polar silk route, right?
Yes. Yes.
And this, if you see, कि so China doesn't come under Arctic state. What it says is that we are a near Arctic state, and but it's
Yes.
1400
Right under
kilometers
Russia,
away from,
basically. Yeah.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
1400 kilometers away from the Arctic Ocean. But what it's trying to do is कि अभी जो जो तेरे normal shipping routes है, यहाँ से अगर इसको यूरोप माल पहुंचाना है, that takes about 48 days. तेरा जो silk route है, पर
Mm-hmm.
if this route opens up for them, which is obviously controlled by their ally Russia, so they're also heavily investing into these ice breaking vessels. If this route opens up, this will take 24 days, like half the time to
Whoa.
reach Europe. And that would save like a lot of obviously your energy, time, and that would give like a whole new shipping route. So, and because of this, क्या बोलते हैं कि that would make them like very dominant in the global stage, right?
Mm.
तो
Even more
ये
dominant in manufacturing.
even yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this is one of the things. Now I want to read one of the letters that has been going around that Trump sent to the president or prime minister of Norway, right? President. So he
Thank
wrote
you
this.
for your attention to this matter.
Yeah, yeah. So he said, "Dear Jonas, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it will always be predominant, but can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America. Denmark cannot protect the land from Russia or China. And why do they have a right to ownership anyway? There are no written documents. It's only that a boat landed there hundreds of years ago, but we had boats landing there also. I've done more for NATO than any other person since its founding, and now
That is
NATO
true.
should do something for the United States. The world is not secure unless we have complete and total control of Greenland. Thank you, President Donald J. Trump. तो उसने मैं मुझे तो ऐसा लगता है कि उसने मन तो बना लिया है लेने के लिए ग्रीनलैंड. And like we saw with Venezuela, he's gonna, do that. So what do you guys think? Crypto Daddy,
अच्छा,
let's get your
यार
perspective. Impact on markets when all of this happens. What's gonna happen?
so for my so what's happening basically, अगर तुम इस पूरी चीज को देखो, right, and what the experts are calling this whole scenario right now is basically they're calling it an economic nuclear option, right?
Yeah.
And basically they're not really fighting your nuclear wars, but they're doing the same to the economies of other countries. And होता क्या है जब भी ऐसा कुछ होता है, right, you see the market behaving ekdam se accordingly. And we saw BTC take a nosedive when he introduced the tariff, right? And we've had this discussion earlier also, where we say, okay, when something unpredictable happens, that's when we see the market sort of taking a hit. And Trump imposing these tariffs, this was not on your bingo card at this point in time. This was
Yeah.
something that just popped up.
Mhm.
So market behaved completely according to that. We took like what 4 or 5% hit, 91 point something pe BTC आया, ठीक है? And
Not
what
just the
happens?
tariff, the Europe trade deal also got
The
put on
whole
hold,
trade
right?
deal, exactly. I'm
Yeah.
coming to that, right? So abhi hua kya? So Trump says, I want Greenland, right? And what the Europe realized is that he's not just bluffing, right? The bluff window has gotten very, very low. Bluffing, and Venezuela is a very, prime example to see that he's not in the bluffing mode also. मतलब वो उसने जाके उस अंदर country से जाके उसको बंदे को उठा लिया. So
Yeah.
he's not always bluffing. You have to understand that. And so retaliation may they have their own what they call the Arctic Operation Endurance, right? That's what they initiated. Just may you have troops from like you said, France, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Germany. They all landed on in like two of the cities in Greenland. I think it was Nuuk and Kangra or Kangra. इस तरह के दो cities है where they stationed their troops. अब होता क्या है कि when they move their troops, right, that is like it's not something that they are going to do. They've actually done it, right? And one of the things that we are looking at is Trump is not bluffing because he is constantly saying that this is not about rare earth minerals. This is not about taking over Greenland as a location or as a space, or he's constantly saying this is a national security threat, right? He keeps saying that. And if you look at the two things that you guys have talked about, so Greenland being a position where you can listen into the entire Arctic corridor and to see what's happening with Chinese and Russian vessels, right? Point A. And point B, then the entire corridor of the shipping route that China and Russia are planning. So it does become a national security for the US eventually, right? And that's what he's actually pushing for. Or when that happens, right? How do the markets react to that? Whenever we have a situation where national security comes into play, then the threat of a war looming on everybody increases. When that increases, and that's where we see your so coming to the point कि ये जो EU trade pact है, that was going to go on, that gets derailed, वो एकदम bamboozled हो जाता है. And when that happens, what do people do? They sort of move money out of the risky assets and they move it into more secure treasury assets, right? आपके bond yields बढ़ना शुरू हो जाएंगे, right? bond yields जो है वो आज I think they're at what
4.26
4%,
ऑलरेडी बढ़ गया है.
4.26 पे, right? And
Hmm.
once it crosses 5%, right, that is where you see an entire shift in the flow or liquidity flow moving from everything else into the bond market, right? And what that does is basically affects all your stock and crypto market. So in the short term, yes, we will see high volatility in crypto market. I think there will be a massive correctional phase that might happen if everything how it's going on continues this way, right? Until unless they don't sit down and have a trade negotiation deal. Like you said, Greenland के साथ Trump बैठ के बोलता है ठीक है, I will sit with you and maybe let me monitor the land from a security perspective. We don't know how that conversation is going to go on, right?
Yeah.
For Denmark, it's a very tricky situation because if they sort of lose to Trump, they lose one third of their kingdom. Right? Greenland is massive in size,
Yeah.
and they lose one third of their entire kingdom to the US. And if they stand up and fight, they lose their largest export market. So for them also, it's like a very tricky situation. कि करना क्या है, किस तरह करना है. And not only that, if you're looking at trade, right? यूरोपियन का सबसे बड़ा एक्सपोर्ट आज के टाइम में क्या कौन सी चीज का है? It's cars, right? They are the biggest car manufacturers and exporters दुनिया के. But that has sort of moved slowly and gradually over the last couple of years, जिसमें चाइना ने वो मार्केट already take over कर ली है. They are not in a position to sort of go and take a hit further on from their remaining export markets. So I don't think they're going to be in the stance that yeah, we're going to have retaliatory tariffs, or we're also going to fight. I think they will come down, sit, and probably negotiate on the terms that Trump wants. And if for any reason, it doesn't go that way, the worst case scenario is, those US vessels move in too close to Denmark, one soldier from either Germany or Finland or Norway dies during that little bit of movement. And you have the Article 5 of NATO, getting initiated, and it becomes an entire new issue to deal with. Eventually, what is going to happen is in any scenario throughout all of this, if you look at in the short term, you see only volatility. BTC might retrace down to 84, 85K, maybe 80K in the worst case scenarios, right? You will have the entire crypto market correcting to their lower levels and all tokens पे सारे. In the longer run, if it does go through this way, के भाई वाकई जंग हो जाती है, and there's a whole skirmish between for Greenland, and NATO basically sorts of splits apart, and
Disband.
you have the right disbanded, and then you have these small economic blocks built across the world, right? What happens in that case? Then you have one neutral financial playbook that basically comes up and rises to power because not everybody wants to do it in dollar or yen or let's say ruble or rupees or whatever. फिर वो एक dominance force नजर आती है, which is neutral, which is borderless, and that becomes your key player, and that is BTC at the end of the day. So in the longer term, in the longer run, BTC of course is in a very let's say positive position for itself. In the short term, yes, we're going to have a lot of volatility. So again, like we said earlier, thoda sa safe raho, don't over leverage yourself. If you're playing spots, if you bought it, keep DCAing, keep buying, keep holding, do play safe.
Yeah. Narkundi, you wanted to say something about the bond markets.
Yeah, so bond markets की 10-year treasury yields already increase हो रही हैं, which means like markets are getting nervous about it. So short term में क्या हो सकता है कि people might say कि why put in BTC right now? Move that money into 10-year treasury yields, get that 4.23%.
So, just I want to ask something. कि bond yields can also go up because Europeans are dumping US treasuries, right? उन्होंने ये बोला है कि
Yeah,
अगर कुछ
yeah,
होगा
I
तो
mean,
we'll
there's not
start
enough demand for it, so then you have to
demand
offer higher yields.
higher yields. So,
Yes.
and the
Yes.
Europeans have said that if anything happens, we're going to start massively dumping US treasuries. तभी हो सकता है कि they've already started dumping, and that is why the yields are going up. Because
Mm,
if you see
not
right
that I
after
know of.
after right
Why are
after
they
this
jumping?
skirmish.
Actually, I'll add to that. होता क्या है कि this is also like, because we are, like I said, we are in a new economic nuclear option, right? This is an economic war going on. अगर यूरोपियन आज यूनियन कहती है कि भाई हम अब अपनी बॉन्ड ट्रेजरीज बेचेंगे और आपकी बॉन्ड यील्ड बढ़ा देंगे, उससे रिटर्न में होता क्या है? आपकी बॉन्ड यील्ड अगर बढ़ती है, ठीक है, वो 4 5 6% जितनी भी जाती है, इवेंचुअली आपकी उस अकॉर्डिंग विद दैट व्हाट हैपेंस इज योर इन्फ्लेशन स्टार्ट्स टू राइज,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
right? And that is how you cripple an economy in the world right now. You make inflation so bad that people are barely able to survive. That's what they've been doing so far with other countries. That's what US has been doing with other ones, right? This is what Europeans are trying to do with the US right now. Eventually क्या होगा, वो inflation बढ़ जाएगा, फिर ये जो bond yield जो है जो 4 5 6 7 8% तक टच करेगी, और वहां पे जाके देयर बी लाइक, जो इन्वेस्टर्स उधर बॉन्ड मार्केट में बैठे होंगे, देयर बी लाइक नाउ अब इन्फ्लेशन इतनी बढ़ गई है कि वो 5 6% बॉन्ड yield भी उनको फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा उससे, वो एंड देन व्हाट दे डू इज दे सेल दोस बॉन्ड्स आल्सो, एंड देन दैट जस्ट ट्रिगर्स एन एंटायर कैस्केड ऑफ इश्यूज.
Yeah.
So ये
120 you were saying.
राइजिंग बॉन्ड यील्ड्स का एक इशू है, फिर अगर रिटेलिटरी टैरिफ से सब पड़ते हैं तो अगेन इन्फ्लेशन और इससे ऐड होगा. जेरोम पॉवेल ने ऑलरेडी बोला है कि विल हैव टू मॉनिटर सिचुएशन, सी हाउ न्यू डेटा कम्स इन. सो अगर इन्फ्लेशन बढ़ते आ रहा है, बिकॉज समबडी हैज टू पे द प्राइस फॉर दैट इंक्रीज गुड्स व्हाटएवर इज कमिंग इन फ्रॉम यूरोप. सो इंटरेस्ट रेट्स कट होने में मुश्किल होगी. सो इन शॉर्ट टर्म I think BTC is going to be choppy जब तक ये some sort of at least agreement of some sorts की हो कि okay fine चलो Denmark and US sign some trade deal या security deal, whatever you want to call it, at least in principle, that might cool things down. But in short term, I think I wouldn't buy any European stocks right now. कुछ भी हो सकता है उनके साथ. BTC also, I don't know, it's very choppy. Maybe people might flock to gold. I don't know. Gold का क्या चल रहा है आज?
Gold is going up, bro. Gold is
Oh, I
going
was
up.
right.
Yes, gold and silver are going up.
Gold and silver,
Oh,
silver made a high, all-time high last night, right? $94 per
Yeah,
ounce.
uh,
and gold is gonna go to 5K for sure. Lag raha hai,
4,676. So,
Yeah.
the more uncertainty there is, people are gonna
mhm.
flock to gold.
The,
So
Yeah.
one more element that that people ignore, and I've been saying quite a lot, is copper, and people are,
Oh,
still quiet on it. I think that's going to have
no, dude,
rise
everyone
soon.
is. All the metals, all your commodities are all on buy. There are palladium, copper, all of this is running right now.
Yeah, I heard
mm,
somebody on Twitter say that it was the commodity super cycle. That's what they're
Yeah,
calling it.
Dr. Profit is also saying like move. He's going bullish on gold and silver.
got it.
Yeah.
ठीक है. चलो,
Ah,
good
and one more thing.
discussion.
One more
Yeah,
thing. One more thing. So, क्या बोलने वाला था, भूल गया अभी, बुला दिया था. हाँ, BTC का. या सो BTC का रिटर्न जो है वो लेटली नास्डैक से मिरर करने लगा है. नास्डैक गोज अप, BTC also goes up. But now last year में last at least Q4 का if you see, Nasdaq went up, BTC went down. So I think equity markets पे अगर hit होता है, Nasdaq पे भी hit होएगा, BTC पे भी hit होएगा, liquidity भी hit होगी. So I don't know, commodities और शायद ऊपर जाने वाली है, who knows for how long.
got it.
Yeah, basically, just chal raha hai har jagah. I mean, even if you look at the Iran-US issue right now, I don't think that issue has dialed down. You still have the vessel, the Lincoln vessel, moving towards the Arabian Sea.
Yeah,
You still
it'll take
have
9
those things
days.
in place, right? Now, by 25th of January, they're expecting it to be
Yeah,
in like striking position. So, I mean, all of that is still looming over us. And all of these situations, they sort of push your commodities price up. So gold, silver, safe assets, people move the money into these assets.
yeah. And if there is something with Iran, like a skirmish with Iran, then obviously your oil price is also going to go up. Yani,
Yep.
uh,
Yeah.
More
uh,
inflation.
people are think if people are wanting low inflation, that's not going to happen. The world has to make do with, obviously, like realist says, ki little higher inflation, 3.5%. I think is that will be the new normal.
Yeah.
ठीक है.
Yeah.
Mm.
चलो, let's see what's happening in the
Oh,
थोड़ी
by
बहुत.
the way, just before
Yeah,
you add in,
yeah.
ये Greenland वाली situation में, I don't know if you've seen the TV show Diplomat.
The Diplomat, right? Yeah, I've seen it. So अभी चल
Paris
रहा है
को
कि
देख.
Right? उसके
आज
उसके उसके season 2 में there is a scene where this the vice president and the the ambassador, right? They have
Mm.
some sort of conflict, और फिर वो vice president जो है ना वो US का वो पूरा North Atlantic का map खोल के बताती है, and basically it gives you an idea of what's happening right now. I mean, it's a very good. I mean, you can watch
Wow.
that clip online also.
Reference
You
point.
should
Yeah,
have yeah, very nice reference point. Yeah.
got it. Yeah, ठीक है. Chalo, India has imposed 30% retaliatory tariffs on pulses and lentils imported from the US. So, दाल महंगी हो जाएगी.
Because गोरे दाल खाते
No, no, importing na.
Import.
हैं.
So,
Import
India,
सही है.
yeah. So they've put tariffs on that, right? So Dollar Trump wallet moved $2 million before the market dump. So on-chain data shows a wallet linked to Dollar Trump team transferred about $381,000 Trump to Binance just hours before the crash. I mean, it's
Coincidence.
not even surprising. Yeah.
He wants to buy
Shifter है वो.
Greenland by by dumping dollar Trump.
Yeah. So you were talking about that one currency, right? So what India's Reserve Bank is proposing, it's linking all of the BRICS digital currencies. So if you see all of these countries, right, they will come up with their own CBDCs, like we've talked in the
Yeah,
past.
yeah, yeah,
And
Mhm.
yeah.
what India is proposing is like the Reserve Bank of India suggested adding CBDC interoperability to 2026 BRICS summit agenda, which India will host, and they will link all of this for like easier trade.
Starts to make sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
ठीक है. ETF flows पिछले वीक के BTC का काफी पॉजिटिव था, ऑलमोस्ट 1.42 बिलियन, ETH 479 मिलियन, XRP 56 मिलियन, सोल 46 मिलियन, लिंक अभी अभी लॉन्च हुआ, ऑब्वियसली लिंक एंड LTC 3 and 2 मिलियन, एंड एज बार का भी एक लॉन्च हो गया, so 1.46
Wow.
मिलियन.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're going to see a plethora of ETFs coming next year. अब जो लोग जो सोशल
Hyperliquid.
सेंटिमेंट वो बोल रहे थे कि यार अभी आ नहीं रहा देखने के लिए, जब वो आएगा तो वो सारे ETFs में ही जाएगा, मुझे ऐसा लगता है.
True. That's true.
Yeah. ठीक है. South Korea Customs Service uncovered an alleged 101.7 million crypto laundering operation using cross-border wallets and bank accounts. I mean, again, not surprising, but at least good. Like पकड़ रहे, बहुत frauds पकड़ रहे. इंडिया में भी अभी scam के बाद scam पकड़ रहे. Like they
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
yeah. So key economic events this week, obviously, आज markets response to Trump's EU tariffs था, so that didn't go very well. Wednesday को you have pending home sales data. Thursday you have Q3 2025 GDP data and November PC inflation data. And Friday ko you have January S&P global PMI data. Also, around 10% of S&P 500 companies are going to report earnings this week.
Ooh,
And
that's
Oof.
interesting.
this
Or
is what, yeah, New York
Yes.
Stock Exchange has
mm,
announced a new tokenization
Yeah.
platform and a completely new trading venue with 24/7 operations, no market hours, instant settlements, stablecoin based funding, tokens natively issued as digital securities. No retrofitting the
This is
existing exchange, no adding
this
blockchain to the
this
back office.
This is very interesting. So
Yeah,
in just about last week we were discussing crypto, the Clarity Act, right? जिसपे वो बोल रहे थे
yeah,
tokenization of stocks को हम नहीं करेंगे allow. And
mm,
then this week
yeah,
they say New York Stock Exchange is ready to go live. I mean we were having this discussion कि वही है
yeah,
ना अपने मकसद से प्राइस गिराते हैं और फिर जब प्राइस गिर जाती है they buy out everything and then they were like okay now let's do it.
yeah. No,
Pelosi Act.
and the Brian Armstrong also came out and said that they are moving forward on ये क्लैरिटी एक्ट. आई डोंट नो इफ अगर तुमने एक और चीज देखी हो कि डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प केम आउट एंड सेड कि इट माइट सू जेपी मॉर्गन फॉर डी बैंकिंग हिम, but
Mm,
if you
2021
I don't know, this might be like a little bit of a conspiracy theory, but I guess he's like trying to strong arm JP Morgan to get behind the Clarity Act and other banks as well, because JP Morgan was one of the more vocal about the Clarity Act, right? कि ये yields के चक्कर में जो stable
Mhm.
coin
Yeah.
yields के लिए JP Morgan came out and said कि यार ये नहीं हो पाएगा and yields नहीं देना
Mhm.
चाहिए, and obviously I'm guessing they've been lobbying hard for them to like remove the yields from the in the Clarity Act, जो कि Coinbase मान नहीं रहा होगा, उन्होंने डलवा दिया, and that's why Coinbase walked off. So I'm guessing this is a new arm twisting technique against JP Morgan to get
हो
them on
सकता
board
है.
with this.
कौन
Yeah.
सा?
There was also a thing between this Coinbase guy Armstrong and Brad Gallagher also, because Brad Gallagher is all
He,
on for crypto act. Yeah.
of the
तो उनके
market
भी आपस में कुछ
acceptance side,
ट्वीट्स
yeah.
चल रहे थे यार.
Yeah, so
Hmm.
Brad Gallagher came out in support of the crypto market structure bill. He said कि you can't, it can't be perfect. जो है, we should support that. And obviously, like he is, yani he might say
He's a
कि
banking lobbyist, to be honest. He
yeah,
is. You
yeah.
have to
No,
accept that. Yeah.
he might say कि I am core crypto guy and ये वो, but उसके business को तो कोई effect नहीं पड़ रहा. So
Mm.
he will obviously, and he's like in bed with all the bankers. So I'm guessing कि he's okay with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. ठीक
Hmm.
है भाई. Anything
अच्छा
else you
सुन,
guys want to add?
हाँ
Yeah.
मेरे पास एक गुड न्यूज़ है, ऑफ टॉपिक है मगर
All right.
क्या good
सुन
news
ले.
है पता.
So thanks to the weight loss drug Ozempic, US airlines are going to save 500 million in fuel costs.
Woohoo! So that, but हमारे एक दोस्त का तो उससे वेट का लॉस हुआ ही नहीं. फेल कर
Something
गया
failed
उसने.
on him.
फेल हो
Yeah,
गया,
Ozempic failed on him.
सू कर देगा वो.
He's
इमोशनल
probably
डैमेजेस.
he's probably the only guy that that
हाँ, केस स्टडी
for
बनेगी उस पे,
yeah
लाइक
case
चूहों को छोड़ो,
case.
इस पे स्टडी करो है ना.
ठीक है. All right. Thank you so
चलो
much for
भाई.
joining us, guys.
राइट.
Please like, share,
ओ
subscribe,
या,
leave some comments,
लाइक.
and we will see you tomorrow.
हाँ, and guys,
Uh,
let us know और क्या चाहिए. Like, we did that last episode, Mr. Beast वाला, it hit 500 views. So, yeah, more episodes like these. Yes, no, tell us.
yeah, sound a little more
Yeah.
excited, please, everybody.
Yeah, please.
You,
500,
this
bro, 500.
this
That
this
is
this
10
whole
times more
episode,
than
your
our average.
energy has been so low, like you're dragging me down. हाँ, हाँ, ये सचिन तेंदुलकर बन गया तू, but ठीक है.
Dude, मैं वर्ल्ड वॉर 3 के बारे में बात कर रहा हूँ. क्या करूँ? नाचते हुए बोलूँ क्या?
ठीक है, थोड़ा और अंदर पेट से आवाज निकाल, पेट से.
पेट नहीं,
Yes,
ओलंपिक से करते हैं उसका sound.
अनिल कुंबले की बॉडी में सचिन तेंदुलकर.
या ठीक, गंजा अनिल कुंबले. ठीक है,
हाँ.
चलो भाई. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर जॉइनिंग अस.
Bye.
ऑलराइट, गुड नाइट.
Adios.
बाय. एडियोस.